Ryan's POV. Ryan, her mother, Jungkook, and his father Brad are sitting in a family restaurant for dinner. Food has been placed to their tables. They all are eating together while eating. Ryan, mother, "Are you kids ready for the dance?" she asked with a spark in her eyes. Jungkook shrugged. Ryan, "Yes, I guess." Brad, "Ryan, who are you going with?" Ryan, "Josh Hamilton," I said before stuffing some more cheesy garlic mashed potatoes in my mouth. JK, "Josh asked you to the dance?" Jungkook asked, his attention now focused on me. JK, "When?" Ryan, I took a sip of my peach tea and nodded before I spoke. A couple weeks back, he had balloons that spelled out homecoming with a question mark. It was cute, I stated. JK, cute, I guess. Jungkook didn't say anything else after that. He just watched me as he cut his steak and placed it in his mouth. Ryan's mother, "Who are you going with, Jungkook?" JK, "Catty," Jungkook said nonchalantly with a shrug. Brad frowned and shook his head. Brad don't like Cathy. Brad, you just can't leave her alone. JK, Dad, don't start now. Brad and Jungkook stared at each other as Mom and I awkwardly looked between both of them. I was a little confused. I wasn't sure why Brad didn't like Katie, but it seemed to be an issue Brad and Jungkook didn't agree on. Trying to break the awkwardness, Mom spoke again. Ryan's mother, "Well, I can't wait to see how dashing you look tomorrow, Jungkook." She turned to me and said, "And my baby, you are going to be beautiful. Do you want me to do your hair?" she asked. I nodded and she smiled contently. Jungkook glared at me for a second and before thinking, I spoke. "What?" My tone came out more annoyed than I meant it to. JK, "Josh, huh? Interesting," he said before grabbing his phone and typing away on it. I didn't comment. I didn't know what he meant by that, and frankly, I didn't care. Ryan's POV. Jungkook has been mostly leaving me alone after his little show when I first moved in. He has his moments of being a control freak, but he hasn't touched me anymore, which I was grateful for. He put his phone down and went back to eating. On occasion, I would catch him glaring at me, but I just ignored it. Mom and Brad seemed to not notice and kept with their conversation. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. Message, "Evil stepbrother. If he touches you, I'm breaking his hand." I looked back up to see Jungkook still glaring at me. I rolled my eyes and responded back. Me. Jungkook snickered quietly to himself before typing again. Shortly after, my phone vibrated next to me again. Evil stepbrother. Gladly, I rolled my eyes again at his text and decided to not respond anymore. He was being a perv and I was not feeding into his game. Evil stepbrother. I am serious. I will hurt him. Me. What is your problem, evil stepbrother? No problem. I just don't share. My eyes snapped up to his. His face was stoic, little to no emotion. But the intense gaze caused a shiver to run down my spine. I don't know what he is thinking, but whatever it is, I'm sure I won't like it. Time skips to the party day. Author. Wine was looking so beautiful, just like a cute angel, and her dance partner is Josh, which Jungkook don't like even a single bit. Now let's see what will happen when Jungkook will see Ryan and Josh dancing and enjoying together. Josh is so nice towards Ryan, which Ryan likes a lot. Ryan's POV. I turned around to see Josh smiling with his hand held out as Sweet Lady song by Tyrese blared through the speakers. I gladly took his hand as he pulled me close. I wrapped my arms around his neck as his hands rested on my waist. I blushed as he softly kissed my cheek. Josh, beautiful. His voice was low, and I almost missed it. I looked up to meet his beautiful blue eyes staring down at me. I blushed and looked down only to have him gently grab my chin and lift it so that I was looking at him again. I blushed and shied away, causing him to chuckle slightly. Josh, so adorable, you know that? He asked as he stepped back and spun me around. I blushed again and shrugged. He pulled me close and I laid my head on his firm chest. I felt eyes on me, so I scanned the room until I met eyes with Jungkook. He was holding Katie close to him as her hands ran through his hair. His eyes were hard, staring at me intensely. I quickly turned my head and enjoyed the rest of the dance. The song ended and I excused myself to go to the bathroom. After washing my hands, I applied some more lip gloss and headed back to the gym. I noticed Jungkook walking away from Josh. As I made my way towards him, I tapped his shoulder and he turned around with a scowl on his face. His eyes met mine and they softened as a smile appeared on his lips. He pulled me onto the dance floor and we began to dance again. This time was different. His hands on my hips were a little tighter. His grinds against me were a little rougher. I moved forward and turned around to face him. He pulled me close and continued to grind his body against mine. Ryan, what happened? I asked, matching his rhythm. I wasn't a bad dancer at all, but his movements have become more purposeful, mere opposed to his fun, playful style earlier. Josh, nothing. I just like the feel of your on mine, he stated. Josh went back to his playful style of dancing and kept me laughing the whole night. The final song came on, All My Life by KC, and Jojo started to play. Josh pulled me close again and snuggled his face into my neck. I giggled at the slight tickle of his breath on my neck. His arms tightened around me as he took a deep breath in. Katie, Josh, a familiar voice said behind me. I slightly turned to the voice as Josh lifted his head at his name being called. It was Katie. Yes, Josh asked with one eyebrow raised. Katie, you promised me the last dance, remember? She said awkwardly, looking everywhere but us. I frowned and looked at Josh with a confused expression. His face showed annoyance as he looked at me and shook his head. Josh, why don't you dance with Jungkook? He asked her. Jungkook, she's going to dance with you. I got wine. Jungkook said, appearing from behind us and pulling me away. I frowned and turned to look at Josh, who looked like he was ready to fight. Katie glared at me before wrapping her arms around Josh. I frowned even more as I felt Jungkook drag me to the other side of the dance floor and pull me close. Ryan, why did you do that? I asked, annoyed. Jungkook stared into my eyes before shrugging. JK, I wanted the last dance, he said, his hand moving dangerously close to mine. I gripped his hand and moved it back to my hip. Ryan, I wanted to dance with Josh, I said, trying to see if I could see him and Katie. JK, why? Do you like him? Jungkook asked, his voice going down an octave. I glanced to the floor and shrugged. Jungkook's grip got painfully tight on my and I hissed in pain. JK, never going to happen. Jungkook whispered in my ear coldly. I tried to pull away, but that only caused him to tighten his grip. If he kept this up, I was sure I was going to have a bruise. I took in a deep breath and rested my hands on his shoulders. Ryan, you are hurting me, I said, looking in his eyes. His gaze was intense, but his hands loosened on me, causing me to exhale in relief. JK, you may be his date for night, but you belong to me. Don't forget that, sweetheart. Jungkook caressed my cheek before stepping away from me. The song had stopped and the lights in the gym flicked on. JK, I have been calm, but I have no problem readjusting his face. Don't play with me, Ryan. Jungkook warned and walked away. I stood there frozen, unable to move. Dance party got over, and after the party we all went to Luke's house for a party night. At Luke's house, shots, Luke yelled from the kitchen. Luke was a senior whose parents were filthily rich and never home. He always had massive parties at his house and everyone would just stay for the night. There was a bar in the basement, so drinks were available to anyone who wanted it. I personally didn't like to taste of alcohol. Morgan handed me a beer and I thought I was going to throw up for the taste. I placed the beer on the table and turned around to find Josh in my face with 2 shot glasses. He hands me one and I sniffed the clear liquid before making a face. Wyan, what is it? I asked. Josh, tequila, drink, he says, chugging his down in one gulp. He smirks and looks at me waiting. I shake my head. I don't think I can do it, I said. He chuckles and steps closer. Just this one. After the first one, you'll loosen up and it won't be so bad, he said while lifting the small glass to my lips. Just as I was about to take a sip, the glass was pulled from my hands. I looked at Jungkook shocked as he poured the contents out into the sink. Hey, no wasting alcohol, Luke yelled out. Jungkook gave him a side glare and Luke shrugged and walked away. Josh, what the F is your problem, man? Josh asked, visibly irritated. Jungkook glared at Josh before stepping in front of me. JK, try it again, Josh, and it's going to be me and you. The tone of Jungkook's voice sent a shiver down my spine. He sounded dark and dangerous. The promise in his voice even caused Josh to take a few steps back. JK, Haley was asking for you. I think you should go. Find her. Jungkook stated and crossed his arms. Josh glared before looking behind him down to me. I stayed leaned against the island with my arms wrapped around myself. His eyes softened and he gave me a small smile. Josh, I'm going to check and
see what Haley wanted, and then I'll be back, okay? I nodded but didn't say anything. Josh walked away and Jungkook turned to me. I pressed myself more into the island as the dark expression didn't leave Jungkook's face. I bit my bottom lip nervously and looked down to the floor. Jungkook moved closer to me, placing both hands to the side of me on the island. JK, if you want to drink, I will get it for you. Don't accept anything from anyone else. Do you understand me? Jungkook asked forcefully.
I flinched at his tone but nodded anyway. Jungkook backed away from me and walked back down to the basement. I looked around to see if I could spot any of my friends when Tanya walked into the kitchen. She stopped when she saw me. Ashley and Morgan are in the basement. Wyan, you coming? She asked. I nodded and followed her down the steps. This really wasn't my scene. Ashley, Morgan and Tanya would come to these parties all the time. I, on the other hand, would rather stay home and read a book with a bowl of ice cream. I plopped down on the sofa next to Morgan. She turned to me and smiled after gulping down the last of her beer. Morgan, you didn't like it, she asked, referring to the beer she handed me earlier. I shook my head no and she giggled. I figured, but I'm glad you at least tried it, she said, nudging and playfully. Wyan's POV. Everyone in the party was drinking while I was sitting on the couch watching people around me making out. I was looking around but suddenly my focus shifted to Josh, who just sat next to me with a red cup in his hand. He took a sip and handed it to me. I sniffed it and it had a sweet smell to it. Wyan, what is this? I asked. Josh, wine. I figured you would like that better, he stated before lifting the cup to my mouth. Sip, he said. I took a sip and surprisingly the taste wasn't bad. I took a few more sips before Josh laughed and grabbed the cup, causing me to pout. Josh, slow down. I know you are a lightweight, he teased. I playfully rolled my eyes and grabbed the cup from his hands, taking another sip. I am fine, I stated, and chugged the rest of it down. Morgan, Ashley and Tanya clapped and cheered as I giggled. Josh stood and wrapped his arms around me, pulling me close. Josh, let's go for a walk, he said softly. I nodded and I told the girls I would be back. Morgan, have fun, do everything I would do, Morgan yelled and leaned back on the sofa in a fit of laughter. She was definitely drunk. I shook my head and followed Josh up the stairs and out to the backyard. Luke's backyard was huge and there was a trail that led to the bonfire pit. Some kids were roasting marshmallows as we took a seat on one of the benches. Josh, did you have fun tonight? Josh asked after a moment of us just staring at the fire. Wayne, I did. Did you? I asked, turning to look at him. His blue eyes lingered on my face before he moved closer. Josh, I did. One of the best nights I had in a while, Josh said as his hands landed on my bare thigh. We were still in our homecoming clothes. Josh has removed his jacket and only had on his suit pants and button-up shirt. The top buttons were undone.
If I had known then what I know now, I wouldn't have said what I said. I took the long road, thought I'd be better on my own. Sometimes what's right is wrong instead. 'Cause I was too young, and I didn't understand that you were the one. And I can't wait to see you hindsight is fleeting when your heart's bleeding and all you can see is red. Till you discover it is within each other to forgive and make amends. If I had known then what I know now, I wouldn't have said what I said. I took the long road, thought I'd be better on my own. Sometimes what's right is wrong instead. 'Cause I was too young, and I didn't understand that you were the one. And I can't wait to see you again. Oh, I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. 'Cause I was too young, and I didn't understand that you were the one. And I can't wait to see you
shot open to meet Jungkook's screen once piercing at me. The fire in my body turned to ice as I pushed slightly against Josh. I heard Josh sigh as he slid his out of mine and let me down. I stood against the tree frozen as Jungkook would not take his eyes off me. The anger in his eyes terrified me. I looked down as silence engulfed us. JK, Josh, leave, Jungkook said, his voice dangerously low. I shivered and covered myself with my hands as I turned my head to the side. I couldn't look at either of them. Josh stood in front of me, blocking Jungkook's view of me. I exhaled a little, not feeling his angry gaze on me anymore. Josh, you need to calm down, Jungkook. Wyan does not belong to you. She can make her own. I jumped in horror as I watched Josh drop to the ground holding his nose, blood spilling out of his hands. Jungkook moved closer, glaring down at Josh. He kneeled down next to him and whispered something in his ear. Josh's eyes widened and he nodded, bobbing his head quickly and flinched as Jungkook stood back up. His angry green eyes were now focused on me. He gripped my arm tightly and started to drag me around the front of the house. Wyan, wait, stop. Where are we going? I asked in a panic. Jungkook didn't answer. He kept his eyes ahead, his grip still deathly tight around my arm. Wyan, Jungkook, please, I begged. His grip got tighter, causing me to let out a whimper. I heard keys jiggling and the sound of the doors unlocking. Jungkook forcefully pushed me into the front seat of the car and slammed the door. He walked around the driver's seats and hopped in. Starting the ignition, he backed out and slammed on the gas, causing us to speed out of the driveway. I looked at Jungkook in shock. My nerves were all over the place. What was he about to do to me? Jungkook, I stuttered. His eyes shot to me and I immediately tightened my lips into a thin line. My legs started to shake as fear overtook me. JK, you didn't listen to me, he said quietly, his hand gripping the steering wheel tight. He looked at me again and the look in his eyes caused me to move back in my seat. JK, now you will be punished.